that made it such an important part of training. Even today, as new weapons call for new tactics, drill remains a necessary and useful training activity. Over 200 years ago, the problem of training an army already at war confronted the founders of our nation. Suffering from lack of organization, discipline, and teamwork, George Washington's Continental Army continually lost to superior British forces. Washington recognized the poor state of morale and hired a distinguished Prussian officer who specialized in the instruction of drill and discipline. Baron von Steuben arrived at Valley Forge in the winter of 1778 to face an army of several thousand half-starved, ragged men. He immediately set to work writing drill regulations for a company of 120 soldiers chosen from various units in the Continental Army. Discipline soon became the cornerstone of military life for the soldiers of the model company as they learned to obey commands without hesitation. By mastering the art of drill through teamwork, the men developed a collective sense of pride in themselves and their unit. Observers watching the model company were astonished to see how quickly and orderly the troops formed and maneuvered into different battle formations. Later, General Washington distributed the members of the model company throughout the army to teach emphasis on drill, the effectiveness and efficiency of the Continental Army greatly improved. In 1779, to ensure continuity and uniformity, von Steuben wrote the American Army's first field manual, the Regulations for the Order and Discipline of Troops of the United States, commonly referred to as the Blue Book. You'll see the cadets saluting throughout the review on the command of present arms. Since the earliest of times, men of arms have used some form of salute as a means of greeting one another. In the age of chivalry, horse-mounted knights wore steel armor, which completely covered the face and body. When two friendly knights met, they would each lift their visors with their right hand to expose their faces to each other, and use their left hand to hold the horse's reins. Not only did this allow the knights to recognize each other, but it was also a deliberate movement of their sword hand away from their swords. Over time, this action became a significant gesture of friendship, camaraderie, and respect. The act of raising the right hand to the visor continued even after steel body armor became obsolete with the invention of modern firearms. Today, the most commonly observed form of this exchange is the hand salute. It is given as a recognition and friendly greeting to a comrade in the honorable profession of arms. For today's review, spectators are reminded to stand and render appropriate courtesies for honors, our national anthem, and when the colors pass your position. At these times, it is appropriate for civilians to stand with the right hand placed over the heart. Veterans and currently serving members of the U.S. Armed Forces who are not in uniform may render the hand salute. Spectators are reminded not to smoke, refrain from loud talking, and to turn off cellular phones during the review. As a courtesy to others seated around you, kindly take all of your pictures from your seat throughout the ceremony. We would also like to remind everyone to please stay off the plane during and after the review. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a round of applause for Colonel Retired Peter T. Russell, class of 1942, the senior graduate in attendance today. Colonel Retired Russell was born in 1919 and graduated from West Point in 1942. After graduation, Colonel Russell went on to serve in the United States Army until he retired in 1972. Sir, on behalf of the entire United States Military Academy, welcome. Currently assembled on the plane is the United States Military Academy Band and the band's field music group, the Hellcats. At the time of the American Revolution, the band consisted of a single drummer and fifer and has evolved into one of the most capable and professional performing groups in the world. As the oldest musical organization in the United States Army, the West Point Band has been inspiring America's leaders for over 200 years. The bugle call just heard was attention. It is used to alert the cadet commanders that adjutant's call is about to sound, signaling the start of the review. Bugle calls were used in the military service of the United States as a direct result of the contact of the Continental Army with European soldiers and armies during the Revolutionary period. Marching in today's parade are cadets from allied nations enrolled in the 4-year program at the United States Military Academy. Upon graduation, they will serve in the armed forces of their respective countries. The marches that will be played as the cadets march onto the plane are the Thunderer, Black Horse Troop, and Old Lang Syne. Ladies and gentlemen, currently located on the reviewing line are members of the classes of 1945, 1946, 1952, 1972, and other alumni with us. Members of these classes serve not only in the United States Army, but in the United States Marine Corps, the United States Navy, the United States Air Force, the United States Coast Guard, and international cadets as well. The Corps of Cadets would like to express its sincere appreciation to all of them for their outstanding service to our nation. The commander of troops for today's parade is the brigade commander, Cadet First Captain Holland Pratt from Liberty Lake, Washington. Her staff consists of the brigade adjutant, Cadet Captain Kirsten O'Keefe from West Point, Iowa. The brigade intelligence officer, Cadet Captain Noah Kim from Crest Hill, New Jersey. The brigade executive officer, Cadet Captain Hannah Blakey from Detroit, Michigan. The brigade physical development officer, Cadet Captain Ari Morrell from Houston, Texas. The brigade operations officer, Cadet Captain Travis Nichols from Mililani, Hawaii. The brigade logistics officer, Cadet Captain Sarah Guzzo from Battle Creek, Michigan. The brigade information systems officer, Cadet Captain Zachary Bolin from Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, and Cadet Brigade Command Sergeant Major Richard Russell from Port Huron, Michigan. The reviewing party for today's review consists of Lieutenant General Darrell A. Williams, Superintendent of the United States Military Academy, Class of 1983. Honorable Robert A. McDonald, Chairman of the Board of the West Point Association of Graduates, Class of 1975. Colonel Retired Frederick C. Liu, Jr., Class of 1970. Colonel Retired Lee A. Van Arsdale, Class of 1974. General Retired John F. Campbell, Class of 1979. Brigadier General Retired Rebecca S. Halstead, Class of 1981. Mr. Alex Gorski, Class of 1982. Lieutenant General Retired Naja Y. West, Class of 1982. Brigadier General Mark C. Quander, Commandant of the United States Corps of Cadets, Class of 1995. Command Sergeant Major Robert T. Craven, the United States Corps of Cadets, Command Sergeant Major, and Colonel Suzanne Nielsen, Department Head of Social Sciences, Class of 1990. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for honors. Please be seated.
March time, march. Colors, halt.
Now moving forward is the 2022 Distinguished Graduate Awardees.
Sir, the colors and persons to be honored are present.
Set the command.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the playing of our national anthem. Please feel free to sing along as our anthem is played.
Order! Oh!
Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Robert A. McDonald, Chairman of the Board of the West Point Association of Graduates, will now present the awards for the 2022 Distinguished Graduates to the following. Colonel Retired Frederick C. Lew Jr., Class of 1970. Colonel Retired Lee A. Van Arsdale, Class of 1974. General Retired John F. Campbell, Class of 1979. Brigadier General Retired Rebecca S. Halstead, Class of 1981. Mr. Alex Gorski, Class of 1982. Lieutenant General Retired Naja Y. West, Class of 1982. Please join us in another round of applause for the 2022 Distinguished Graduate Awardees.
Ladies and gentlemen, in honor of all returning alumni, the United States Military Academy Band will now play one verse of Benny Haven's O. 38.
Pass and review!
The pass and review serves two functions for the superintendent. It dismisses the cadets and at the same time provides an opportunity to inspect the state of discipline and training. As the cadets pass and review before the reviewing party, members of each unit will turn their head and eyes and salute on the command, "Eyes right." The marches that will be played as the cadets pass and review are French National Défilé, the official West Point March, the regiment's return, and the Army goes rolling along. The United States Military Academy Band is under the direction of the commander, Lieutenant Colonel Todd Addison, with the drum major, Master Sergeant Nathan Eby. The 1st Regiment is commanded by Cadet Captain Donovan Hinton from Woodbridge, Virginia. The Regimental Command Sergeant Major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major James Beeler from Darien, Connecticut. The 1st Battalion is commanded by Cadet Captain Jack Henry Noose from Tampa, Florida. The battalion command sergeant major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Enrique Gonzalez from Clarksville, Tennessee. Company A is commanded by Cadet Captain Michael Matthews from Columbia, South Carolina. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet 1st Sergeant Austin Widener from Frisco, Texas. Company B is commanded by Cadet Captain Mallory Hearn from Tampa, Florida. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet 1st Sergeant Emma Kurt from Wichita Falls, Texas. Company C is commanded by Cadet Captain Drew Durkin from Darien, Connecticut. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet 1st Sergeant Henry Carroll from Traverse City, Michigan. The 2nd Battalion is commanded by Cadet Captain Peyton Visconti from Midlothian, Texas. The battalion command sergeant major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Cameron Barlow from Harriman, Utah. Company D is commanded by Cadet Captain Gabriella Boatwright from Sandy Springs, Georgia. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet 1st Sergeant Sage Peters from Uricksville, Ohio. Company E is commanded by Cadet Captain Brandon Harder from Nevada, Missouri. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet 1st Sergeant Vishnu Kumar from Macungie, Pennsylvania. Company F is commanded by Cadet Captain Michael Devine from Wilmington, Delaware. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet 1st Sergeant Alexander Court from Southington, Connecticut. The 3rd Battalion is commanded by Cadet Captain Andrew Fonseca from Taneytown, Maryland. The battalion command sergeant major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Greg Layer from Moline, Illinois. Company G is commanded by Cadet Captain Nicholas Calhoun from Palestine, Texas. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet 1st Sergeant Maxon Sutton from Weston, Florida. Company H is commanded by Cadet Captain Michael Arnold from Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet 1st Sergeant Logan Zook from Laurel, Maryland. The 2nd Regiment is commanded by Cadet Captain Diego Soto from Missouri City, Texas. The regimental command sergeant major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Miriam Tolston from Commerce Township, Michigan. The 1st Battalion is commanded by Cadet Captain Alexa Zamet from Princeton, New Jersey. The battalion command sergeant major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Rachel Forbes from DuPont, Washington. Company A is commanded by Cadet Captain Thomas Messner from Denver, Colorado. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet 1st Sergeant Kyle Cass from Coppell, Texas. Company B is commanded by Cadet Captain Lindsay Scammon from 29 Palms, California. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Ethan Carson from Spokane, Washington. Company C is commanded by Cadet Captain John Redmond from Kansas City, Missouri. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Timothy Kiley from Marshfield, Massachusetts. The second battalion is commanded by Cadet Captain Hunter Cochran from Grapevine, Texas. The battalion command sergeant major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Jonathan Meinke from Jackson, Missouri. Company D is commanded by Cadet Captain Bliss Hutchings from Brunswick, Georgia. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Talon Roberts Oliver from Las Vegas, Nevada. Company E is commanded by Cadet Captain Emily Minner from London, Ohio. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Joseph Garcia from Cumming, Georgia. Company F is commanded by Cadet Captain Kyle Ralph from Littleton, Colorado. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Raina Drago from Tampa, Florida. The third battalion is commanded by Cadet Captain Austin Chambers from Plano, Texas. The battalion command sergeant major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Emily Dinallo from Clifton Park, New York. Company G is commanded by Cadet Captain Daniel Lord from Holtzville, New York. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Andrew Johnson from Orwigsburg, Pennsylvania. Company H is commanded by Cadet Captain Margaret Ballou from Salo, Washington. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Elsundra Terranis from Fort Drum, New York. Since the days of the American Revolution, flag bearers have been an important element in ceremonies. At the center of today's formation and bearing the national color is the United States Corps of Cadets Color Guard, led by Cadet Color Sergeant Jacob Willis from Atlanta, Georgia.
The 3rd Regiment is commanded by Cadet Captain Alex Denna from Beverly Hills, Michigan. The Regimental Command Sergeant Major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Lane Erickson from Eau Claire, Wisconsin. The 1st Battalion is commanded by Cadet Captain Caroline Vincent from Newport Beach, California. The Battalion Command Sergeant Major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Amy Chacott from Blairsville, Georgia. Company A is commanded by Cadet Captain Joshua Williams from Frisco, Texas. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Logan Bakken from Lone Tree, Colorado. Company B is commanded by Cadet Captain Boom Jun Kim from Seoul, South Korea. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Kirsten Eggers from Cape Coral, Florida. Company C is commanded by Cadet Captain Aiden Roberts from Camden, Maine. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Lauren Drysdale from Irvine, California. The second battalion is commanded by Cadet Captain Reed Bauer from Pottstown, Pennsylvania. The battalion command sergeant major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Zorian Flowers from Chicago, Illinois. Company D is commanded by Cadet Captain Grace Martin from Traverse City, Michigan. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Cameron Miller from Lubbock, Texas. Company E is commanded by Cadet Captain Nicholas Schreiber from San Antonio, Texas. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Jonas Ebner from West Point, New York. Company F is commanded by Cadet Captain Samuel Shaw from Fayetteville, Arkansas. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Alden Miller from Denver, Colorado. The third battalion is commanded by Cadet Captain Allison Ingram from Virginia Beach, Virginia. The battalion command sergeant major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Brenna Bowman from Candoon, North Dakota. Company G is commanded by Cadet Captain Kaylin Bird from Alpharetta, Georgia. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Jordan Hardy from Las Vegas, Nevada. Company H is commanded by Cadet Captain Jillian Gonzalez from Rockville, Maryland. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Hunter Holt from St. George, Utah. The 4th Regiment is commanded by Cadet Captain Kennedy Warren from Rowlett, Texas. The regimental command sergeant major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Nick Eisenhower from Fort Lewis, Washington. The 1st Battalion is commanded by Cadet Captain Conrad Balbry from Los Angeles, California. The battalion command sergeant major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Ava Luskin from Long Valley, New Jersey. Company A is commanded by Cadet Captain Reese Warrens from Springboro, Ohio. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Natalie Block from Charlotte, North Carolina. Company B is commanded by Cadet Captain Brian Herbrick from Floral Park, New York. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Sailor Butters from Clayton, North Carolina. Company C is commanded by Cadet Captain Adam Johantis from Liberty Township, Ohio. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Savannah Achenbach from Nuremberg, Germany. The 2nd Battalion is commanded by Cadet Captain Devin Greenfield from Nashville, Tennessee. The battalion command sergeant major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Christina Hughes from State College, Pennsylvania. Company D is commanded by Cadet Captain James Belargen from Amory, Wisconsin. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Deanna Arbelias from Raleigh, North Carolina. Company E is commanded by Cadet Captain Brandon Hernandez from Spring Valley, New York. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Dalen Williams from Leavenworth, Kansas. Company F is commanded by Cadet Captain Daniel Wortman from Morgan, Utah. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Almid Al-Shashani from Azarqa, Jordan. The 3rd Battalion is commanded by Cadet Captain Kaylee Conrad from Reno, Nevada. The Battalion Command Sergeant Major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Mikhail Kameninski from Białystok, Poland. Company G is commanded by Cadet Captain Georgia. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Carolado. Company H is commanded by Cadet Captain Jack McCork from Kalaheo, Hawaii. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Aaron Hall from Fort Belvers, Virginia. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the Army song, "The Army Goes Rolling Along." Please feel free to sing along as it is played. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to remind everyone to please stay off the plane as you exit the parade grounds. Thank you for attending and enjoy the rest of your day. Go Army, beat Navy.